Number 39, you're looking at the total number of female or foreign language teachers. There are 64 teachers total. 18 of them are female. 8 of them teach foreign language. But because 5 of those teachers are female and teach foreign language, you have to subtract out the ones that you count twice. So you end up getting 21/64 probability of being female or foreign language teacher. Number 40, with males, you know that 5 of them are female foreign language teachers out of the 8 foreign language teachers that there are. So there are 3 male teachers that teach foreign language. Number 41, you're going to need your graphing calculator to find statistics of these numbers. You're going to go to Stat, Edit, and you want to keep everything in list 1. So you see I've entered all the numbers here. You just enter by pressing 12, enter 15, enter, so on, so on, so on, making sure that you press the delete button for anything extra. Zeros are going to affect your list, so make sure that your list is only the numbers that you need. Once you've done that, Stat, Calc, your first variant stats, press enter. You may have to press enter a few more times. This number, X with a bar over it, that is your mean. This number is the sum of all of your terms. This number, the one with the little O, that is your standard deviation. N equals 10, that means that you have 10 numbers in there. The minimum is 12, the first quartile is 15, the median is 18, third quartile is 20, the max is 23. So for number 41, you're really looking at 18 for your 18 for your mean and median, and because it's the most common one, 18, 18, I see it 3 times, it is also your mode. For number 42, your standard deviation you found in your calculator was 3.16. To find the variance, that is your standard deviation squared. So 3.16 squared is 9.9 or so. To find number 42, you're going to go to this screen where you have your min, your quartile 1, median, Q3, and your max. So drawing a box and whisker plot, your minimum here is 12. Your first quartile is 15. Your third quartile is 20, so that's where you have your box. The median is 18, so that's the middle of your box, and then your max is 23. So number 44, you have a sub n equals -1 to the n plus 3. You're looking for the first 7 terms, so the first term, you plug 1 in for every n that you see. So that's -1 times 1 plus 3, or -4. The second term, you do the same thing, -1 squared to the 2 plus 3. -1 squared is +1, so you get a +5. And if you keep going, a sub 3 is going to equal -6. A sub 4 is going to equal -7. 5 would be 8. 9 would be, 6 would be -9, or +9. And then the 7th term would be +10, -10. Number 45, your equation is a sub n plus 1, 2 times a sub n minus 1 plus 1. This term means previous term. So if they give you what a sub 1 is, which is 4, then you put in for a sub 2 the previous term. So a 4 goes there, you add 1, you get 8 plus 1, or 9. For the third term, you put 9 in for a sub n minus 1. You put 9 in, so that would be 2 times 9 plus 1, or 19. For the fourth term, you're going to put 19 in for that a sub n minus 1, so that would be 2 times 19 plus 1 equals 39. And if you keep going all the way, the 7th term is 319. 46. This is a sigma. It means sum of all terms. K equals 1 means first term is where you start, 6th term is where you finish. And if you're doing 3k minus 1, then you know that your first term, you plug 1 in for k, so that's 3 times 1 minus 1, or your first term is 2. The next term, if you plug a 2 in, 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. The third term is 9 minus 1, or 8, and you can see that we're going up by 3 every single time. I have a total of 6 terms, and this means sum of all of the terms, which would give me 57. Number 47, the first 10 terms from 55 to 49 to 43 and so on. You can tell that you're going down by 6 each time. You can simply go through each of these, find the 10 terms and add them all together, or you can use the formula that the sum is equal to n over 2 times the last term plus the first term, or the first term plus the last term. That's a total number of terms, so we have 10 terms there. The last term we would find by going to our other formula, a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. The first term is 55. D is the difference between each term. We know we're going down by 6 each time, and n is going to be the total number of terms we have, which is 10. So the 10th term is going to equal 55 plus negative 9, or 9 times negative 6, which is negative 54. 55 minus 54 is 1. So the nth term is 1. The first term is 55. So we really have 5 times 56, and your answer is 280. 48, you're looking again for the sum of all terms. So if k equals 1, going up to the 10th term, 4 minus 2k, you find that your first term is 4 minus 2, or 2. Your second term is 4 minus 4, or 0. Your third term is a negative 2. Your fourth term would be a negative 4, and so on and so on and so on. You can add all of these together the same way. If you say that a sub 1, the first term is 2, and the 10th term, I plug a 10 in here, that's 4 minus 20 is negative 16, then the sum of those 10 terms is going to be 10 over 2 times the first term plus the last term, which is 5 minus times negative 14, which is negative 7. I want to find the nth term of this geometric sequence of 3, negative 6, positive 12, negative 24. You realize that you're multiplying by negative 2 each time. That's the definition of a geometric sequence, is that you will multiply each time. So you have your first term is 3. R is the rate that you're growing, which is negative 2 each time. N minus 1, you're looking for the 7th term. So that would be 3 times negative 2 to the 6th. Negative 2 to the 6th is the same thing as positive 64, or 192. Number 50. If you have 4 as your third term, and your sixth term is 500, you're really trying to say, well, 4 times something is my fourth term, times that same thing is my fifth term, times that same thing is 500, my sixth term. You can use that same formula we were using before, except substitute the 6 for the n and a 3 in for the 1. So the sixth term equals the third term, r to the 6 minus 3. The sixth term is 500. The third term is 4, r to the third. Divide both sides by 4 to get 125 equals r cubed. Cube root both sides to get r, so r equals 5. That means that the fourth term is 5 times 4, or 20. The fifth term is 5 times that, which is 100. Sixth term is 5 times that, which is 500. And the seventh term would be 5 times that, or 2500. Number 51, you're finding the sum of those first 7 terms together. So you can add 3 minus 6 plus 12 minus 24 plus 48 minus 96 plus 192, and that all equals 129. The other way you can do it is finding the sum is equal to the first term times 1 minus r to the n all over 1 minus r. The first term we said was 3. 1 minus r to the n, the rate again is negative 2, that's to the 7th, all over 1 minus a negative 2. And either way you get 129 when you work that out. You're looking at a sum, again, of k equals 1, 6. My first term is 800 times 1/2 to the first, or 400. My second term is 1/2 to the second. 1/2 squared is 1/4, which is 200. My third term is 1/2 to the third, or 1/8, that's 100. And you can see that I'm going down by half each time, so my fourth term would be 50, my sixth term would be 25, my seventh term would be 12.5, and if you add all those numbers together, you end up with 787.5 as your answer. 53, moving on to trig, you have 5, 8, and theta. To find cosine, sine, tangent, first you need to find the hypotenuse, which you do by Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the two sides squared, 8 squared plus 5 squared equals c squared, 64 plus 25 equals c squared, 89 equals c squared, so c must equal the square root of 89. Once you find that, it's pretty easy to find everything else. If you remember that cosine is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse, if this is the angle, this is always the hypotenuse. Adjacent is the one that's next to the angle, so that's the 8. And to rationalize the denominator, multiply by radical 89 over radical 89, and that gives you 8 radical 89 over 89. Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite over hypotenuse is 5 over radical 89. Again, rationalizing that denominator is radical 89 over 5. 5 radical 89, sorry, over 89. Tangent theta is opposite over adjacent, which is 5 opposite over adjacent, which is 8. So 5 over 8. The inverse, well, the opposite of tangent, you got cotangent, is adjacent over opposite, or 1 over the tangent, which is 8/5. For sine, if you flip the sign, that gives you a cosecant of theta. So instead of 5 over radical 89, you have radical 89 over 5. And for the secant, that's the opposite of your cosine, that's radical 89 over 8. 54, you have 6 as your side, you have 45-degree angle, and you have x. If you're trying to solve for x, we know that this 45-degree angle, if this is a right triangle, the relationship between the adjacent side over the hypotenuse is cosine. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of 45 degrees must equal 6 over x. So x must equal 6 over cosine of 45 degrees. And you can put that in your calculator, or if you look at your unit circle, that's really radical 2 over 2. Flipping this to get a rationalized denominator, 6 times 2 over radical 2, which if you multiply radical 2 over 2 to rationalize that denominator, you get a 2 down here. It cancels with this 2, so you end up with 6 radical 2 as your answer. 5. Converting 72 degrees into radians means multiplying by pi over 180. To simplify, know that 9 goes into 180 20 times, 9 goes into this 8 times. Looks like I can take a 4 out of there too, so that becomes a 2 and a 5. So this looks like 2 pi over 5. 56, you're going the other way. You have 6 pi over 5, and you're trying to change that to degrees, so you're going to multiply that by the reverse. 180 over pi. This pi and this pi cancel. 5 goes into 180 36 times. So you end up with 6 times 36, or 108 degrees. Number 57, sine of 240 degrees. You're going to use your unit circle. You're going to try and find where 240 is, which is right here. The sine is always the y-coordinate, so sine of 240 degrees is negative square root of 3 over 2. 58, you're looking for the tangent at 7 pi over 4. Tangent is equal to sine over cosine. So where is 7 pi over 4? We have these 2 points on your unit circle. So if I put this over this, square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2, they're the same thing. They equal 1 when you put one over the other, and that negative makes that a negative 1. So that would be negative square root of 2 over 2 over positive square root of 2 over 2. Same thing over the same thing equals 1. 59, your secant of negative 120 degrees. Where's negative 120? It doesn't look like it's on your unit circle, but if you start from 0 and you go negative 90 and then another negative 30, you're here. Secant is the inverse of cosine. Cosine is negative 1/2 because that's the x-coordinate. So secant must be 1 over that. So it's negative 2.